Welcome, welcome, welcome. Fantasy Bros Before Pros podcast hiatus over. Here with Faraz. Faraz, what's up, my guy?
What's up, man? It's been too long since I've been on this podcast, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, as an honorary bro, I had to come to you right away, and I just really wanted to get my feet wet again, man, and just, I feel like this year is going to be the craziest year for fantasy football, for obvious reasons, and I just want to get back into it and just get back into, I miss this podcast. I miss it a lot. Like I miss doing this part, I've been a little wrapped up in everything else, but I want to get back to, what I love and this year is going to be full of fantasy because I'm in like 25, 30 leagues right now.
Yo, that's crazy, man. I know every year you're always in like all these crazy ass leagues, man. It's nuts.
Right. Well, so let me ask you. We can start with this. I mean, and if you guys don't know Faraz is the founder, right? Like that's the word.
I guess that's the word.
The founder of Upper Hand Fantasy, at Upper Hand Fantasy on Instagram. You guys know, anybody who's been listening to the show before knows who Faraz is, knows our sort of dynamic. But for those that are new to the show, Faraz, Faraz, just tell us a little bit about, what you got going on your page and everything and how you got into this.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, basically everything fantasy football, put up, like some clips like this from podcasts and just there's any type of like value that I can bring to people for people to win their fantasy football championships. That's basically what I try to do. Like basically I just analyze fantasy football and I just put everything out there. Like everything I got, I put it out there on Instagram. So yeah, that's basically it. But yeah, anyway, like, I have a open door policy. So just hit me up, just DM me. You know what I mean? And like we can figure stuff out. I actually had someone hit me up today on my comments. I'm like, it's so funny. Like this is the one thing. This is the first time I even got a comment like this. It was like, hey, what would you recommend for a fantasy football newbie this year? And I'm like, oh wow. I was like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's not something that if you're following a fantasy football page or whatever, like that's actually, I'm surprised that that's like the first time I ever got that question. Like what would you, I was like, that's just such a loaded question, man. Like I don't even know where to start. Like how do you even start? Like how do you even like
I'm going to need to know a little bit more about you before I can give you this answer.
Yeah, man, 100%. So I'm just like, all right, well, listen, I literally told him, I was like, all right, well, in your draft, just relax. You know what I'm saying? Like, it could be overwhelming.
Right.
But yeah, man, that's it. Like that's what it is, like, and that's how that's how I met you.
Right.
And that's it. And now we're doing podcasts.
Right, that's what I was gonna say too, guys. Like, he's a great follow, not only because the information is easy to digest and it's not overly complicated, and it comes at you in a good way on Instagram. They come with these great graphics, and then all the information is in the comments. And like Faraz said, the open door policy that he has is absolutely true. It's what got us connected. I used to just jump in his comments, and he pretty much answers everybody. He has a number that you can text if you want some advice. I tried to go under a burner account and see what he thought about Curtis Samuel, but he found out I changed my name. So yeah, he was confused at first because he was like, "Yo, nobody else likes Curtis Samuel like that." And then he looked and he was like, "What? Is Jay?
Jay, is this you? Is this your burner?"
No, it's not Jay. It's not Jay. But yeah, guys, follow him on there at Upper Hand Fantasy on Instagram for sure, guys. You will not regret it. Great information, great interaction. The comments aren't toxic, so it's a good experience on Instagram.
It's a good environment.
Yes, for sure. It's
safe environment.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's a safe space and everything as well. So kind of piggybacking off of before we get into everything, I wanted to ask you, how many leagues is too many leagues for you? Now, remember, you yourself create content, so you have to set aside a lot more time to make sure that gets done. But if you weren't creating content, let's say, how many leagues is too many to the point where you can't even manage all of them? And would you join leagues that are not for money? Like, do free leagues completely turn you off?
Free leagues do completely turn me off unless there's some other incentive. Like, I'm in a league with like, I don't know, like Jay-Z or some shit. Like, have you seen like Matthew Berry like in the 40-40 club with Jay-Z? I'm like, yo, what is this dude doing in the 40-40 club right now with Jay-Z? Just kicking it. It's hilarious. But yo, good for him, man. Good for him.
That's fantasy though. Like we get to
Kudos.
do stuff like that, right?
Yeah,
Like
exactly. So yeah, no, if that was a free league, you know,
you're in.
for bragging rights, of course, you know what I mean. But nah, I think I would most likely do it for money. I would say like 90% of my leagues have to be for money. Um, Otherwise, the thing, like for me, I will be fine. But I think what ends up happening is that towards the middle of the season, you know, a lot of people get disinterested, you know, but then when there's money on the line, everyone goes hard. And it
Right.
makes a huge difference, you know, as far as like competitively with everybody else in the league, right?
Right.
But like, yeah, if I was not putting out content, I would say I would probably be in like 10 to 15 leagues, maybe. I think anything more than that, I would need a co-owner who would like basically does everything except like certain big moves. Like I'll get a text like, hey, like I'm thinking about doing this, and I'll be like, hey, go for it, or like, hey, let me get more details or whatever. Like then it's fine. And I had that, and now I have that in a couple of leagues now. Because and these are a couple of leagues I was already in, and once I started putting out the content, I was like, yo, I'm either gonna leave this league or I need somebody to own it with me. So that's I kind of went that route in the leagues that I cared about. But now, putting out content and stuff like that, yo, I'll be honest with you, I actually like putting out the content more than playing fantasy football.
And playing fantasy, right? So you don't have to worry about, like for me, for instance, like with all these teams,
Yeah.
waiver night is hell. It takes too
Yeah,
long, you
exactly.
know.
100%, man. And you know what? During the season, when I gotta put out content, like I'm worried about everybody else's waivers.
Right.
Like I'm putting out content for everybody else, and I mean, am I really gonna sit there for hours? You know what I'm saying, on Tuesday night, putting in all my waiver claims until like 2 a.m. You know what I'm saying? Like I'd rather, if I'm gonna stay up until 2 a.m, I'd rather be making some content, and that's just how I roll. Like when you're in a manageable number, like a good amount of leagues, then that waiver night is fun, right? Like
Right.
it's fun. Like you're in a couple leagues and you're like, all right, cool. This is who I want to pick up. Blah blah. All right, I'm done in an hour. Or
Right.
whatever. Like that's when it becomes fun. But I think the co-owner thing is a good idea if it gets too overwhelming. So when you said that you're in like 20 to 25
I
leagues, is
am.
that real?
Yeah, it
It's a
is.
real number.
And that's on sleeper only. I
Right.
have
It's so
fallen.
easy to make leagues on sleeper. That's why.
Yeah, that's the thing. One, I'm on sleeper more, but I'm in leagues on ESPN. I'm in leagues on Yahoo. I'm in leagues on NFL.com that I'm waiting to like restart. But those are redraft. The problem that I'm having right now is I'm addicted to two forms of fantasy right now: Dynasty
In best ball.
and best ball too. Like
Okay.
I joined a World Cup league, a best
Right.
ball league. That was really good. That was fun. You get to it was almost like pros versus Joes. So like
Gotcha.
there was like there's some guys that are actual experts and regular people. Like
Nice.
because I have a podcast, they label me expert.
Right, of course. Well, you know
Um,
what? I mean, if that app draft was still around and never got bought by FanDuel and they
right,
abolished it, which sucks, I think everyone would be playing basketball right now. But
right.
that's anyway. What were you gonna
It's
say?
on DraftKings. It's on DraftKings now for here and Yahoo.
Oh yeah, and is the platform is it not is it pretty good, like as far as like
The Yahoo platform is the one that I preferred before I got put on a sleeper.
right.
So it's beautiful on there, but sleeper doesn't have it yet. So that's kind of the thing. So like with sleeper, like you said, it's so easy to make a league. I'm addicted to dynasty leagues and I'm addicted to super flex leagues at this point.
Oh,
Like
I see.
I don't want to play in any league that's not a super flex anymore. Just because. I was having this discussion earlier with one of my friends. We were celebrating George Kittle's extension, so I went on a little bit earlier. But I was telling him that in the NFL, the most important player on the field is the quarterback, and yeah, in fantasy and single quarterback leagues, they tend to be the least important to your team. So I like bringing the importance back to it. Like I'm in super flex drafts where if I get 1-6. I'm probably not flinching on Kyler Murray in a dynasty league, like right there to get him at 1-6, and then to come back around at like 3-10 to see, and then I'm either getting like Burrow or Daniel Jones, like it's fun. It just changes up the strategy, and then what happens in the superflex leagues is guys become values just based on people reaching for quarterbacks. That it gets to a certain point that when you see so many quarterbacks off the board, like if you're sitting around waiting in a superflex league to pick a quarterback and there's like 3 left, and you gotta like burn like on Rivers and like Carr and like you don't want to do that. So you want to have one really high end guy, one floor play, and one guy who could like mix in for you.
Exactly.
So I like the strategy of Superflex.
So you're saying that you like two types of leagues right now: Dynasty and then Dynasty Superflex.
Yes, I mean
Yeah.
I'm in some redraft superflex leagues too, and
Sure.
I'm trying all of my redraft leagues. I'm trying to show people the light. The problem is that people have a tough time breaking away from it because I was hesitant to it too, But then I got into one, and it was all downhill from there. Like the
Now,
strategy of it was great.
let me ask you a question.
Yep.
What do you think is more challenging for you as a commissioner
Mm.
to change your league to, as far as like getting everyone's buy-in?
Right.
Changing from standard to PPR,
Mm.
or changing non-superflex to superflex?
It's gonna be non-superflex for superflex because I got them to switch real quick. Like we ran standard leagues for so long, and I can't
Right.
even like imagine how that's
Oh,
possible
of
anymore.
course. I mean, now that everybody's in it, like nobody wants to go back, obviously.
No. So it's definitely superflex. I think that what it is that the guys that are in my home leagues that I'm trying to get them to convert over, they realize that that's a whole different ball game, and they kind of just want to keep it simple. Like
Right, right, exactly.
like my home league.
Especially like they know that you know your shit too.
Oh yeah, of course. So the issue with this is we have a podcast, right? And I'm in with my friends or whatever, like when I used to win the league, like whatever, like it was fine. But like you said, we get into, doing the content, things like that. So if I catch a loss in a week, my group chat is just people just blasting me as it like it's like when you get a win against me, they like take their victory lap and like just go crazy. It's like, bro, that's annoying. Anything could happen. Like I was just talking to my friend. Sammy Watkins is the bane of my existence. Book end, and I'm gonna explain to you guys why. Anybody who's part of the show and knows I'm a 49er homer, clearly, right? Now, week 1 against the Jags, I played a guy who like I had to like beg to join my league just to fill it, right? He starts fucking Sammy Watkins against the Jaguars, and he goes off for 40 fucking points. 67% of his fantasy points were in one fucking game against me. Right? Now, fast forward to February, when I'm in Miami for the Super Bowl, Sammy Watkins doesn't want to do shit all year, but he can fucking burn He can burn Richard Sherman for a fucking bomb pass that like led to my team's demise. Sammy Watkins, fuck you, bro. Fuck you, man. Like, it's just like, why did you do this to me all year? What did I ever do to you?
Dude,
I actually player.
I honestly wish I was home that week. The week 1, it was Jets Bills. I went to that game. It might have been the worst game I've ever seen in my life. Like it was. I think the final score was like 16-9.
Oh, yeah, you guys were up.
We were up the whole game. It was like 9-3, right? And then like they came back and they won. I think John Brown caught like a touchdown late.
Okay.
Something like that. And then Devin Singletary caught like 10 passes in his first game as a rookie or some shit. I was like, what is going on?
But they still don't want to use him at the goal line.
I was starting Robbie Anderson. Dude had like 1 catch.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure he got the Trey White treatment that game.
He didn't.
No.
He didn't, man. That was the funny part. Trey White didn't even follow him, which was hilarious.
Wow.
Exactly.
That's not cool.
Exactly. But yeah, man. So, dude, there's so much going on. Like, I'm so happy that training camp is like kind of back and, shit is happening. Like George Kittle got his extension, and then Travis Kelce's agent woke up from the dead and was like, what?
No, they were waiting, honestly. They were waiting. So, like,
Yeah.
I think they were waiting for him to reset the market, and they knew that this is Kelce's third contract. He wasn't going to go above that and do that. So, good for him. The problem is that, because I cape for the 49ers on my Twitter, I write for them and all that shit, is everybody comes at me with the Kelce shit and Kittle shit, and I just won't stand for – look, fantasy-wise, I'm going to look you dead in the camera, and I'm going to tell you, I would rather have Travis Kelce this season than George Kittle. Dynasty, that's not even close. But if you're talking about real-life NFL tight end, it's my guy. Like, I'm sorry. Like, it is, and I'm not really here to have a discussion about it. Like, I hate to be so close-minded about it, but it seems
at this point, it's like if you're thinking that Kelce's still the best tight end, like compared to Kittle, like you haven't watched Kittle, you haven't watched those games yet. What I mean? It's there is a shifting of the guard a little bit at this point.
Yes, absolutely. So, do you want to start with some of the news that we got? So
let's do it.
We got Kelce, we got Kittle locked in. The Bills re-up one of their linemen as well too. Dawkins, that's that's good for whatever you believe about the Bills rushing attack.
Yep.
But
exactly.
I want to get into – all right, so I kind of want to start first with this news out of well, first of all, you know what? Let's not even start with that. Did you watch Hard Knocks?
I did, man. It was a good episode, I thought. I thought it was interesting, like with all the COVID stuff going on and all that. You know what stood out to me the most? What was funny was Sean McVay when he came out with the face mask, right? And then like he was like in that meeting with the face mask, and there was another coach who was like, "Hey guys, listen, if I'm gonna be in this room, all you guys have to be like 6 rows back, right? Because I don't want to be talking too loud, you guys." Sean McVay was addressing the whole team with his mask off, right? And like was just like yelling at his team, and guys were like in the first row, like right next to him, like, oh boy. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh boy, here we go. You know what I mean? And like, this is just training camp, you know, like it's hilarious. Like there's some shit that's it's just bound to happen. There's gonna be an outbreak at some point.
Yeah.
Some thought is gonna be able to actually be able to dress up like a player properly and be able to get into one of those hotels and actually cause some damage.
So Faraz is making light of a situation that just came out today of a rookie cornerback for the Seattle Seahawks who tried to sneak in a young woman into his hotel, and he got cut immediately.
Yep.
Immediately. I have a question.
And she was dressed up like a Seahawks.
Like a Seahawks member. Yeah, like and they said that they like I don't know if this is a joke. I saw it on Twitter or whatever. It might be a joke that they said that they could tell from the chest that it was a woman.
Yo, that's hilarious.
I just laughed about it. So the question I have is this. Like, I'm not mad at the Seahawks for making a move like that and just setting the example. Like, this is not going to be tolerated, right? But
right.
Quentin Dunbar was literally, like, holding up a barbecue or whatever, and they were like, let's wait for the facts, you know? Like,
I'm so surprised he's off the commissioner list already.
So I don't know what happened. Right. Apparently, like, there's no charges, and I don't get how there's no charges. And DeAndre Baker, they're going to nail him to the wall. Like, it's like, him? Like,
did he pull a Tekashi? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know.
That's what. Well, it's either that's what I did. I put on Twitter or whatever him with the Chris Paul, like the fake. Yeah, and he's like looking like that, like Tekashi.
Oh, did you? I didn't even see that. That's so.
Yeah, funny. I had to. Screw that. It's the Seattle Seahawks. I would troll them all day on the
100%,
internet.
100%.
I don't care. Yeah. And then it's either that or he pays somebody off. But whatever. The problem that I have with it is you wanted to wait on the Dunbar stuff because he's a really good player. You see this rookie cornerback doing this, and you're just about to just get rid of him without no warning or nothing like that. And that could tarnish the rest of the time in the league. Like, people may not take a shot on this kid just because of that or whatever. But yeah, I don't want to get too far into that or whatever. But
I get it though. But the interesting, like, what I was like, when he got off the commissioner list, I was like, that's it. Because even though there were no charges filed against them, it's like, you know, Roger Goodell is usually super hard on players. And even in those type of situations, right? Like, you can't even get yourself in that type of situation, regardless whether there were charges or not. Like, if Antonio Brown was in some situation like that,
Josh Gordon,
Roger Goodell would be like, you can't come back into the league
ever.
And it's just like, it seems like a double standard to me. I don't know what.
Ezekiel Elliott didn't have charges. This is
the Zeke Elliott thing, exactly. That's a much better point. Like, the Zeke Elliott thing, he didn't have charges, and you know, everything he did was alleged. And then the girl even apparently like said that, you know, it wasn't true. Shit. Like, I don't know, man. You know, it's weird stuff.
I just, you know, like, I was just upset because now, you know, this Legion of Boom 2.0 is like about to happen as far as like their secondary. Like, they have no pass rush.
Our defensive coordinator, Greg Williams, is hilarious, man. He's so funny. He basically said that Jamal Williams is going to get bored in Seattle because they're not going to use him the same way that he did.
Did you hear what Pete Carroll said to that?
No, I didn't. What did he say?
He goes, he won't get bored because we don't make as many mistakes as Greg Williams does.
Oh, damn.
Whoop!
Damn.
I don't like Pete Carroll, but if you're gonna troll a guy, look, Faraz, I despise Greg Williams. Despise him. I despise him. Look, one, you're a piece of shit human being. Like, we don't have to talk about that.
Right.
Two, these defenses that you come and you take over, you never like launched them to being an elite defense ever. Like, he's never run an elite defense. Like,
he's known for like being this attacking
like
defense, but it's never necessarily great like on the back end or whatever. Right now last year with the Jets, he made do with absolutely nothing.
And they had a tough run defense.
Avery Williamson, they were out. You know what I'm saying? Basically, he had Marcus May and Jamal Williams, and that's about it, honestly. Corners didn't have any of those. Didn't have a pass rush. It wasn't good. But
Jamal Adams was essentially your linebacker also in there,
exactly.
too. He's tight ends. He does it all, bro.
Now, CJ Mosley gone, it's going to be bad.
Yeah, well, you know, we just got to see what happens. So, yeah, I thought the Hard Knocks episode was really I'm glued to this Hard Knocks because I am just, like, completely fascinated with how this training camp's going to go.
Yeah.
I have to be honest with you, man, when Anthony Lynn was talking in the beginning and he told the story about how he had COVID, like, when he was done, I wanted to run through my fucking wall. Like I love these shows because I wind up walking away enamored with the coach. Like,
Right.
I've been on record saying this. I like All or Nothing better than Hard Knocks.
Yeah.
Because All or Nothing's during the season.
Exactly.
And you get to see week to week preparation.
And the production's a little bit better, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing that that Hard Knocks has over is probably Liev Schreiber is this much better of a narrator than John Hamm.
Right.
But I walked away when I watched the Carolina Panthers one. I was like, wow. I was like, I thought that I believed that Ron Rivera was already a great coach, and I just walked away from it like, yeah, like he's a leader of fucking men.
He's the man, dude. Ron Rivera
he's already taking the Washington football team. So I gotta make sure I say that right.
I know, right? Dude, that, like, I don't know if you remember that halftime speech he had to give that one time.
Against the Pittsburgh, against the Steelers, right?
Yeah, he had to rip everyone a new asshole in that one. Dude, that was serious. That was such a cool moment to catch on camera, man.
But that's what I mean. And it's like, you need to see things like that. Like the other thing, I mean, we could wrap this up because this is how me and you go. Like, we just want to talk.
Bro. And it's late too. It's just like, we're not even starting this at like 7 p.m. It's late as fuck.
So look, the thing that I really walked away impressed was like when Devin Funchess was struggling, right? And he just wasn't playing well. And then like he tells, the general manager and Ron Rivera, like, I lost somebody really close to me. And Ron Rivera wasn't like, like, oh, whatever, suck it up. Like, he pulled him to the side, and while Devin Funchess was crying, he was like, bro, he's like, why didn't you just come talk to me? Like,
right.
And that's like, that proved that he's like a leader of men. But he already has the respect because he's already played on probably the greatest defense of all time. He's from the 85 Bears, so you got to give him his respect right off that. But he is a leader of men, and he is a modern coach. Like, he's not one of these guys that's going to like, like, I hate the cliches, like, do your job works for Belichick, but I hate all that, like, bring your lunch pail, all that shit. That shit doesn't get younger guys moving. Like,
it's
like,
true,
like.
And I feel like, sometimes Belichick, when you bring up Belichick sometimes, like, and you compare him to like a modern coach, he might not, if he has like an elite player, he might not use that elite player to like their complete strengths because he doesn't want that player to be bigger than the team, right? Like, can you imagine if Bill Belichick had someone like Christian McCaffrey? Like, he would not be on the field 100% of snaps. He would not get like 35 touches a game. But he does on the Panthers because guys like Ron Rivera and Norv Turner, they were willing to use a guy because they know what strengths they have, right? And they're willing to kind of adapt to it instead of just going about their ways,
Right, absolutely. And I think you talking about the Patriots and us talking about that, we can segue right into the news, and I'll start with the one that actually matters. So Evan Silva today came out and said that, well, he didn't come out today and said he basically retweeted an article from The Athletic basically saying that they don't expect Sony Michel to be ready for the season. He's going to be on PUP, which will probably put him on the short-term PUP for half the season.
Right.
Now there's news that came out today about Lamar Miller, who just was signed, if you guys didn't know, now being on PUP. So I already was expecting a big year from James White, only because, like, I know the trust factor that they have with him, and it doesn't matter who's the quarterback. Like, when they got Cam, I got even more excited about him because they're going to use him. He has his role. He's defined. But yeah. I've been getting Damian Harris shares everywhere. Right. I've been taking him very late in all these dynasty drafts, knowing that he doesn't have to do very much to overtake Sony to have that goal line or early down work because Sony, let's keep it a buck, looked like shit last year. Right. Like, very bad, like, and he can't catch the ball, right? So Belichick, if somebody's going to outperform somebody, he's going to run with that guy right away. So Damian Harris, all he has to do is show a little bit in camp, and he's going to be the starter with James White having his role. And I would be comfortable as long as we know, that's the issue, right? Do we know how Belichick's going to use Harris? Do we know? Is he going to get all the carries, or is he just going to be like, or is he just going to start Harris for 2 snaps and then fucking Rex Burkhead's in the game? Or, like,
right.
That's the only thing that kind of scares you. But I've been trying to get my hands on Damian Harris. Now with this news of Sony and Lamar being on PUP, his ADP is going to rise for sure.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, and I want to see how long Lamar is going to be on the PUP for, right? Because it seems to me like he's recovered from his ACL, but, maybe he can't perform right away. Like, I'm really curious as to, like, why he's still on the PUP right now. Sony Michel's thing is obvious, right? He had that offseason surgery. I think it was on the foot, right? And we had no idea. Like, I think we found out about it like a month or two after it happened. But I think Lamar Miller, I'm kind of interested in him personally. Like if he comes off the pup like in a week or whatever, right? Or in 2 weeks before week one, right? I'm interested in him just because he's the most versatile guy out of everybody in that backfield, and the most capable. But if he's coming off pup like what, a week before week one, how ready is he going to be? Right? Like he hasn't practiced with anybody. It's not like it's not the easiest, playbook to learn and all that. So I don't know. Like I agree with you though. If Lamar Miller didn't join, like I would be all in on Damian Harris right now. Just because of how late he's going. I think more people probably lean towards James White. As far as Cam, like, leaning on James White, I could definitely see it happening. And if James White is the only guy that Belichick trusts, he'll probably be on the field on early downs too. They'll just, instead of running the ball, they'll just dump short passes off to James White. They've done that in the past.
That's the extension of the running game.
Exactly.
The issue is with this crazy year is like, I at first I was like, oh, I don't care about preseason games, but preseason games would have been really good this year for us to figure out, who's running the ball well, at least, or who looks good.
Tells you a lot.
Now, you know how we usually give the advice, don't get too hyped up or whatever you read from a beat writer. That's all we're gonna have. That's it. That's all we're gonna get.
It's all we're going to have, and then we have to determine, like, what the fluff is, what isn't, and, like, we're going to have to make some really crazy determinations, and then week one comes, and we're going to be like, what? Like, we did not see that coming, but we had a preview. We usually have a preview in week 2, in week 3 especially. We kind of have a good understanding of how things are happening as long as players play. But with this backfield, it's one of those situations where you will likely be surprised of what happens, right? Rex Burkhead has messed up, James White's snap share in the past, right? And then you have if Lamar Miller's active as well, I don't know, man. Like I don't even want to go towards James White's ADP. Like James White's ADP is fine, right? But I don't know if there's a guarantee that he's gonna be the primary running back on the field. Like, is he gonna get more than 50% of snaps? I don't know. Right. I just don't know. But the good thing the thing that's working in his favor is that they don't have that many weapons. They have Edelman, and that's really about it, right? Like Edelman and James White. That's really like I guess Mohamed Sanu, and then they have their second-year guy.
That's the guy I was gonna bring up. The guy that also I've been trying to get shares of. I feel like that's the second-year breakout opportunity. First of all, he was injured. Second of all, he really didn't get a lot of again the trust factor. If Brady doesn't trust you, if Belichick doesn't trust you, they're not gonna throw you out there regardless of draft capital. But here's the thing, like with this whole team, and then we can move on too because there's a lot of crap to get through.
Sure.
The thing that you said is like the fluff, and the next thing that I'm gonna bring up is it kind of sounds like fluff, but yeah, I kind of already know how you're gonna go with it. But I just get afraid of relying on these guys, right? Like if you think you have a hunch, like Edelman seems like the only safe one, but even with the running backs, there's some sort of concern of Cam being used around the goal line. As usual, I just don't know how they plan to use him. And week one, I think you pointed it out, but I believe I agree with you wholeheartedly, or whoever it was that said it. But week one is usually the best waiver wire week because now you've learned who's really going to be playing, and you really have to go get those guys right away. Like you can't sleep on the first week.
Right, and what I like to do is a lot of the obviously this year you might have a bigger bench because of COVID, right? Maybe your commissioner puts some extra bench spots on your roster. Right, and what I would do is I would look through the waiver wire list, before week one, before that Thursday night, and just look to see like who is a guy who can potentially have a role that could make sense. You know what I'm saying? Like for example, like Damian Harris, right? Like, will he be drafted in every league? I don't know, depending on how Lamar Miller is as far as his health and all that. But like, maybe you want to put him on the end of your bench just to see what if, miraculously the Patriots they want to just go super run heavy, right? And Damian Harris gets 18 carries that first week, right? And then you're like, oh, okay. And he's already on your team. But yeah, I agree. Week one is going to be where you find out so much, and there's going to be a huge churn on your rosters after week one, especially this year.
For sure. And I think that the right after Edelman, and Edelman and White are the guys that actually you have to make a decision on to draft during, but Harris and Keel, that feels like end of the draft type picks at the end of the draft just to see. Like at the end of the draft, you better just be picking up people that like have a high upside, but we
Yeah.
just don't know, and you want them to sit there.
Yeah, 100%, man. Like, it's really about the upside. Like, I would only shoot for upside. Like, if you're gonna draft a guy and you're like, oh, he can get me 10 points per week, it's just like, all right, well, why don't you just draft somebody else who you're probably not going to start, but if opportunity comes up, they can actually like be a staple of your team and
Right.
have a ton of upside.
For sure. And I think you touched on it on one of your posts too, and it's been a strategy that I've had just because, guys, if COVID's around or whatever, at the end of your draft, you better be targeting the handcuffs, not your handcuff, other people's handcuffs. Like I have a shitload of tons in redraft and in Dynasty. I have shares of Pollard, I have shares of Madison, I have shares of Chase Edmonds. I don't have Kenyon Drake in all those leagues. I'm just, like this is the year that if that happens, now you're losing a guy for 21 days.
Right.
And then, and if this guy plays well, he's probably going to take that job over. Like we've seen it happen like that, where it's just hot hands. So that's kind of what you should be doing at the end of the draft.
And for those 3 weeks, like if you already have a couple stud running backs, like you're going to be hard to beat if you got 3, workhorse running backs on your roster at that point. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you're starting all 3 of them, 2 running backs, and another stud in your flex. Like, you're going to be hard to beat at that point.
For sure. So speaking through fluff, right? Coach talk, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Greg Olsen, right? Was it Greg Olsen from the Raiders?
Yep. The Raiders, yep.
Greg Olsen came out, said that they want to get Josh Jacobs involved. Are we going to talk about Ruggs and
Sure.
Henry? All right. So first he says that Henry Ruggs is going to be playing the slot. For you Hunter Renfrow truthers, like, when I've been drafting, I've been snatching him up where I could just because I thought that he was going to occupy that spot. I'm not all the way sold thinking that Ruggs is going to be playing inside. I think that it'll be a little bit of both. Like he'll play inside, he'll play outside, whatever the coverage and the situation need be. Tyrell Williams should be on the other side no matter what. Like he's going to be out there. It just boils down to how much do you think Ruggs is going to be inside, or is it just going to be Ruggs, Edwards, and Williams, and Hunter Renfrow's kind of left in the dark?
Right. Yeah, so, I saw the press conference. Like when I saw the blurb, I'm like, can I find this press conference? I want to see what he said, because like I couldn't make sense of it, and like it didn't make sense to me because I was like, wait, so why would you play him primarily inside? What's going to happen to Hunter Renfrow? Like he'll be fine in the slot, right? But then what I got out of it was like, as a rookie, right? You kind of go step by step, right? And they drafted Henry Ruggs to be their flanker. They're the guy who lines up at the Z, who moves around outside and inside to the slot. And that's a position that John Gruden has always had. And that is historically the position that he targets. Tim Brown, he did the same thing with Amari Cooper. He did the same thing with I don't know. Like he had so many.
Well, the wide receivers he had were like the Bucks and
exactly. Like I'm trying to think.
Joey Galloway.
Exactly. Perfect.
Joey Galloway was there. Keyshawn Johnson.
And these were the guys like his wide receiver ones, right? And he always had an alpha wide receiver one who basically had a shit ton of targets, right? Like the distribution was so top heavy to like one singular wide receiver, that it's worth investing in it, right? Yeah. So that's how I determine about Ruggs. Like what I think is going to happen, and then he also mentioned Bryan Edwards playing the X primarily.
Why do I keep saying Henry Edwards? Why didn't you stop me?
You said Henry Edwards. I thought you said Brian. I didn't even hear Henry.
I've been saying Henry Edwards. Yeah.
Henry Edwards sounds like.
Who is that? I don't even know.
The Prince of England. I don't know.
Yeah, there you
go. But yeah, that's what I got out of it. I think that he said that, like, as a rookie, you have to start somewhere. And when he said start, I don't think he means that he's going to be our starting slot wide receiver. Right. I think he meant like, he's starting his development and starting his learning process in the slot, because that's one of the positions that he has to learn. And then he'll learn the outside. That's kind of how I took it, the way that he said it. You know what I mean? I still think it's going to be him playing the Z, right? Inside, outside. And when he comes inside, Hunter Renfrow will probably come off the field. Tyrell Williams probably go to the Z. And then Bryan Edwards will probably stay at the X. That's kind of how I see it. And then when he goes on the outside, Ruggs, and then we'll have Hunter Renfrow coming into the slot, and then obviously you have Darren Waller, who might play a little bit in the slot as well. So that's kind of how I see it. That's what I took away from the press conference after like actually watching it. Does that make
So
sense?
yeah, no, for sure. Let me ask you this. So whenever news comes out negatively about players, right, I automatically think, okay, his ADP is gonna get depressed.
Right,
Um,
right.
and I think that's what's gonna happen with Hunter Renfro. And if
Hmm.
he's gonna go undrafted now in your home leagues, in your redraft leagues, he's gonna go undrafted.
He's still worth it.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
like last
In a,
round pick
in a full PPR league, yeah, 100%.
field. Yeah, like I have him on.
Honestly, man, if you don't play full PPR, go fuck yourself. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
I hope we didn't alienate anyone or whatever.
No,
I'm
listen,
gonna.
I'm messing with you. If you
No,
don't
let me
play
borrow
PPR,
that.
if you
Let me
don't play PPR, you know what I'm saying? It's fine. Go fuck yourself.
change your shit to Superflex or
Superflex PPR.
no. So that was some of the news that came out with the Raiders, right? But the other news that I wanted to get into was Josh Jacobs has a goal of 60 catches. That sounds good. That sounds amazing. Not gonna happen.
I don't think so. I'm sure like his goals are lofty, and I appreciate that. Good for
That's
him.
good.
Right. I have high goals too. Right. I talked about playing fantasy football with Jay-Z in the 40-40 club, but I don't think that shit is happening anytime soon. Not this year. You know what
Not
I mean?
realistically, right? But
Yeah, exactly.
what is it? Aim for the moon, land on the stars. Cool. That sounds good. If Josh Jacobs was able to corral 60 catches,
He's like he would be like the number 3 overall pick.
he's right there in that tier, right under like Zeke, like right after Zeke, and like
Yeah,
that tier
exactly.
break of like Kamara and them, like it's there.
100%. And he should be there because he's a talented dude. Like if he can, and he can catch the ball, but you got to look at what the Raiders did, right? They extended Jalen Richard, and we know what role Jalen Richard had. He was
Being
coming
annoying.
in on third downs, passing downs, and Jacobs was coming off the field in those situations. And then they also drafted Lynn Bowden. So, and he's a guy who's coming out of the backfield as well and catching passes, lining up in the slot, all that. So those short to intermediate passes are being locked up by Richard, Bowden, Hunter Renfro. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, Jacobs will catch. I think he caught 30 balls last year or something like that, 28 balls or something. So
If he can get to 45, I'll take that.
if he can catch 45 balls, that means that he would be getting 60 targets. And I don't even know where that's going to come from, to be honest.
That's what I was going to ask you. What's next? So okay, so we just talked about Tyrell Williams.
Yeah.
We just talked about Henry Ruggs. We just talked about Edwards. We just talked about Waller. We just talked about Renfro. We just talked about Richard. I'm not certain where, and I'm not certain where these targets are going to go. And the other thing is Derek Carr's game is not down the field, obviously. So you would think that would be good for a running back. The issue is I'm afraid of the Joe Mixon effect, where they throw him the ball behind the line. There's 5 guys in front of him. Now fucking make all of them miss or whatever. Like, I get into arguments all the time about Joe Mixon. Like, I had a guy on Twitter tell me he's okay. He's never had. I'm like, bro, do you watch the Bengals? Like, if they ever wanted to put Joe Mixon in the slot against a linebacker, that shit is easy money all day. Like, if they were smart, get him the ball. Like, and so it has to do a lot with team, and that's the issue that I have. I think with Jacobs, that's where his bullshit is, just because there's not enough targets to go around for all these guys, and they want to get Ruggs involved. They want to make sure that he and Darren Waller's huge for them. That's why I'm a little bit off of Darren Waller this year, just because of the same thing. Like, where these targets going to be divvied up is going to be tough for him to do what he did last year, and the place that people are drafting him is a little bit too rich for my blood, like just a little bit.
And remember, we got Darren Waller for free. Once we found out that, what did we find out? Why did we pick up Darren Waller? Oh, Antonio Brown.
Right. Yeah. Well,
Brown,
and then remember Hard Knocks. They would every time they spoke to somebody, they were like, and that's what I watch Hard Knocks for too, right? So and then talk about this. It could just lead right into the next thing, and you know what I'm going to talk about. But
can I just say something real quick? You said that when you said, you know what I thought about? So last night I was watching Hard Knocks on my computer, right? And I on my monitor, and when the Rams were running their scrimmage, right? Like, they showed a play, right? And the running backs were zooming out of the backfield. I paused it to see what running back was coming out of the backfield.
I bet you I know who it was.
At first, it was Malcolm Brown, right? And then I paused it again. It was Darrell Henderson.
Thank you for bringing that up. So, look, while we have to sift through all this fluff, right? They took the first team reps when it came to walkthroughs.
Right.
Here's the thing that I want everybody to make sure that they know about this season, right? And this is for regular football and this is for fantasy football. When you're making these decisions about who you should draft, I think that if you're caught in the middle, your tiebreaker is this: the continuity. Is this somebody from the same system who's been with the same quarterback this entire time, or is this somebody trying to learn a new system in a new place? That might be the tiebreaker for me at this point. Right. There's certain guys that you don't worry about that. Like, you're going to take Godwin, you're going to take Evans. They got Brady. That's fine. That's something that's new. That'll be fine. I'm talking about guys that are being acclimated to new situations at this point.
As a rookie especially.
Right, that's what I mean. Like, we're not getting any of this stuff, right? So in the beginning, it's only natural. Like, this is what gets me a little bit nervous about. Like, I see Jonathan Taylor going super high, right? But you're drafting him based on the idea that he's going to take it over. The only thing is that Marlon Mack has at least that experience there, so he's going to get the first shot. Now, what people are not thinking about when it comes to this, and that also is part of this. So Marlon Mack is named the starter, right? Right, but he's going to use the hot hand, right? And then Darrell Henderson and Malcolm Brown are our first-team reps on Hard Knocks with Cam Akers and things like that. And it's look, if you're going to take the risk, I feel you. Just know that his risk is baked in there, because what happens if Marlon Mack comes out these first few weeks and balls the fuck out? Because, look, the kid doesn't catch the ball a lot, but his footwork is incredible. They have an amazing line. They're going to have plenty of scoring opportunities. So if he plays very well, it might take him a little bit longer than you think for him to take that job over. And you've wasted, a third, fourth round pick on a guy who's a backup. Now, I understand if you think that he's going to take the job over, go ahead. But you need to know that that's baked into his risk and his ADP.
Yeah, I think Jonathan Taylor is like a potential league winner, but I think it's only going to happen if Marlon Mack gets hurt.
Right.
Like, I don't see a world where Marlon Mack cannot succeed behind that offensive line. Right. He already had a 1,000-yard season. He's not going to go away. Right. Frank Reich isn't going to let that happen. When Melvin Gordon came in as a rookie, Frank Reich was the offensive coordinator for the Chargers, and he didn't let Danny Woodhead go away. And Naheem Hines is going to be involved as well on passing down. So the amount of touches that Jonathan Taylor is going to get in the beginning of the season is not going to be high. Right. So. And if that can continue the entire season, you're going to be disappointed. Listen, in Dynasty, like, you want to take him 101, sure.
101?
Sure, well, I don't have a problem.
If you look, he went 101 in a few rookie drafts that I went before the news about Damian Williams. And once the Damian Williams shit hit.
Yeah, CEH, of course. I get it. And, like, it makes sense, like, because he's a great prospect. But you can like a prospect, but not like his price in redraft leagues.
Correct. That's it. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about redraft. If in Dynasty, like, I'm in a Dynasty startup right now. He went second round. I get it.
Who did?
Jonathan Taylor.
Oh, Dynasty startup. I'm sorry. I thought you said rookie.
Startup. Yeah, startup with rookies and vets.
Yeah, no, I thought you meant rookie draft.
No. Like, no, what? Just let me join that league with Jonathan Taylor. Actually, I'm kind of happy. In one of my home Dynasty leagues that people see, this is the thing about the Dynasty leagues, right? Everybody gets nervous about joining them and losing trades and stuff like that, right? Because I'm always sending offers. So I wanted to move up in my rookie draft because I needed a receiver. I wanted CD Lamb.
Right.
But when I traded up, like, I traded Fournette and my pick to move up. Like, I want him off my roster, my Dynasty roster.
Right.
Like, at this point, I got what I got from him last year, and I'm like, all right, this is fine.
I think that's a good move, man. I have a post on Fournette tomorrow.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
So and this is before they started the rumors about him being cut. I don't think that's happening, but I'm just saying, there's a lot of chat around.
They're going to use the shit out of him this year, or try to.
Yeah, they're just going to run him into the ground.
Exactly. Into the ground is the key word there.
Correct. Yeah. So I traded that, and I wanted CD Lamb. CD Lamb went the pick before, but J.K. Dobbins is sitting me right in my face. Done deal. I was like, I didn't think I was trading up for J.K. Dobbins.
Right.
I could have taken Jerry Jeudy. But I was like, man, Dobbins, that's too much. I can't let that go.
No, you can't. I mean, especially with Mark Ingram's going to be a free agent next year.
Right. That's what I mean.
He was going to get cut. I forgot whether he was he's going to be a cap casualty or he was in his last year of his deal.
I think it's a cap casualty thing. Like, he's not going anywhere this year. I think that right now Mark Ingram in redraft leagues is super undervalued. Like, he's like going.
Where's he going right now?
I've seen him go like 5th, 6th. Like, people are so on J.K. Dobbins.
Right.
Like, Mark Ingram's not going anywhere.
He's not going anywhere. No, he's not. And, like, I think with Mark Ingram, like you're really depending on those touchdowns. Obviously,
That's the point.
That's the thing. Like he's going. I'm looking at it right now in PPR leagues, 12 team. He's going at the end of the 4th round.
But you could essentially at that point already realistically have 2 stud running backs.
It's true.
And him.
It's true. It's true. And yeah, if you take him in the 4th round, then you could have your stud wide receiver as well. So yeah, I mean, I get it. You want to put Mark Ingram in your flex? That's really not bad at all.
No, at all. You can, and because the upside, like when the Ravens like start washing people out and they're ahead, you already know what you're about to get. So
right, exactly.
So we have to kind of sift through this. So the Cam Akers thing, with Malcolm Brown, and I would just advise anybody, my opinion off the rip when it comes to redraft, it's gonna be a little bit hands off, at least like too high for Cam Akers.
Right. No, see, with Cam Akers, like where is he going right now? He's going in the 6th round. So for me, like I want to really see how this plays out. Right. We're in the middle of August now. And I want to see if Cam Akers can kind of come in and command that role, just because I personally see him as a guy who can do it all, right? Like he could be a workhorse type of back. And I think like his path to like becoming the main guy in that backfield is a lot easier for him than Jonathan Taylor, just because he has Marlon Mack, you know what I'm saying, as the incumbent. He already has Naheem Hines as like the pass catching running back. Like Cam Akers doesn't have that. He doesn't have a guy who is like the pass catching running back, right? He might have the best hands of anybody on in that backfield. And then who is the best in between the tackles guy? It might be him also, right? Is it Malcolm Brown? Like I don't think Malcolm Brown can do anything that he can't do. You know what I'm saying? And then
we have to remember too. I didn't mean to cut you off. There's just a little bit of context too. Like when Todd Gurley was ripping it up, and Malcolm Brown came in and he was doing fine. You have to remember that line was a lot better than it is right now. Like it's not as good. Like, so that's the other thing. Like if you don't have a guy that can make people miss in the hole, or you don't have a guy that can shimmy out, you're not really going to get too much in his running game.
And Cam Akers has experience with terrible offensive lines. Like in college, like he dealt with maybe the worst offensive line in all of college football, and he still averaged 5 yards a carry. So he killed it. And then you have Darrell Henderson, like who to me, he couldn't get a grasp of the system last year. And if anything, he seems like a great compliment. You know what I mean? So, like, the way I see this backfield, magically kind of forming is, Akers as the 1A, maybe Henderson as the 1B, and then maybe Malcolm Brown kind of, spelling in here and there. But, like you said, it might take a little while. So, in order for me to draft Cam Akers, like, in the 5th round or 6th, where's he going again? 6th round? Like I have to get some positive reports. I have to depend on that because am I really going to pass up on, I'm saying like, actually there's not that many people. Actually there's some wide receivers going up there. I'm just looking at running backs, but there are a bunch of wide receivers that I'm fine taking in the 6th round. Like Marquise Brown is sitting over there. You know what I'm saying? Cortland Sutton's there. If Terry McLaurin falls a little bit.
If Terry McLaurin's there in your 6th, what the fuck?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Terry McLaurin's being taken in the middle of the 5th round. You know what I'm saying? But, like, you don't have to reach on that. Cam Akers is a guy that I liked having maybe as my RB3. You know what I'm saying? But that's only assuming that I think, like, what's going to happen happens.
Right.
And if I don't get confirmation of that or any, like, inkling towards that potentially happening, then I might pass. Like, it is what it is. Now, in some leagues, though, you kind of have to go for the upside. Like you said, you're in 25 leagues, right? So you can't go risk averse, you know what I'm saying, in all of your leagues, right? You have to be risky. You have to shoot for it.
That's the other thing. Like I was going to say, like, and I think you're like alluding to it, but like I use those other leagues as ways to see how I can build teams and how they come out,
Exactly.
like that's
exactly.
It's like good mock drafts, but like you get to deal with the consequences.
You have to shoot for it sometimes, right? Like, in a lot of industry drafts, Jonathan Taylor is going like a 3rd round, right? Because in those industry drafts, you have to stand out somehow, right? And you have to be contrarian a little bit at times because you have to get that guy that nobody was taking so that when you have him on your team combined with your other studs, now you're an unstoppable team. And like that's literally how you have to play those leagues sometimes. You just have to go for it. Same thing with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Everyone's like, I'm saying a lot of people are like, oh man, you take him in the 1st round. It's like, yeah, like because you got to go for it sometimes.
Now I am.
Now we are, right? But it's just like some people say like, you know what? You never know because what if DeAndre Washington is involved and this and that? And it's
I
just
think
like he is going to be involved, but at the same time, and he's a sneaky handcuff.
He is.
Sneaky handcuff, man. Like if Clyde Edwards-Helaire has to go down, whatever the case may be, like he's a little bit versatile, and he's probably the best back in the backfield. Besides,
I think what people
Helaire.
forget is you remember last year, Jacobs went down. DeAndre Washington was fine. Week 15, week championship, he was fine.
He was.
So and they have
in the Chiefs' offense, like he's gonna be just fine.
we want anybody that's gonna be able to get goal line looks or be in that offense, anybody, as long as they're not Sammy fucking Watkins. God, I didn't realize today. I didn't realize until today that I dislike Sammy Watkins for what he did to me last year.
That's hilarious, man. That's
one game. All right.
I gotta get in the league with you so I can draft them and start them again.
For sure.
I'm just gonna keep him on my bench until I have to play.
No, I swear to God, we will not be friends anymore. I swear to God. Now, it wouldn't be news and notes, and it wouldn't be a full show of me being back without giving you some Curtis Samuel hype. Okay. So Curtis Samuel met with the Panthers, media today. He spoke. Panthers wide receiver Curtis Samuel wouldn't give away any secrets on how he will be used in Joe Brady's offense. Remember, though, he played some running back at Ohio State, and Samuel's goal is to simply be dynamic. I'll take any sort of good vibes. Anybody, I'm back in again. I was, the year before Godwin popped, I had Godwin on a bunch of my teams at the end of the bench waiting for it to happen, and it didn't. That's not the same thing as this, because at least Curtis Samuel's involved. He's definitely the number 2. But if they're talking about getting him the ball like the way they did in Ohio State, that's all he really needs, man, I think, honestly. And then if, Robbie can take the top off the defense and they can just if they can get Curtis Samuel the ball in space, I'm loving his price. He's falling in drafts. People are scared because they were on the wagon last year. I think that because people are burned by him last year, you're going to get him super late and you're going to be super surprised at what you get this year. I'm doubling down.
He's like a post hype guy, right? And everything when things like the reason why people are post hype isn't because simply he had hype last year, he didn't get it done, and now this year he's going to. No, it's because situations have changed. Joe Brady came in. It's going to be more of a pass heavy offense. We already know that their quarterback situation was absolute shit last year. The missed opportunities were ridiculous. He was near the top of the league in air yards.
Ian Hartitz, one of my favorite follows on Twitter.
Yep.
He put together a 4-minute all-22 montage of Curtis Samuel being wide open and the ball just not being anywhere near him. And that's what I'm holding on to. It's the same thing with Deontay Johnson. When I watch Deontay Johnson and I watch Curtis Samuel, I watch guys who can get the fuck open. Yep. It's not their fault they didn't catch the ball because the ball was fucking thrown however it was.
And you know what? The thing with Curtis Samuel was the funniest thing. Whenever he's open along the seam, the ball would always sail out of bounds for whatever reason. It wasn't an overthrow, and sometimes it would be an overthrow, but it wasn't always an overthrow. It would be sailing right out of bounds. The accuracy is just unbelievable, dude. Unbelievable.
Do you remember last year when Kyle Allen was the future?
Oh, dude. How quickly does that change, man? You get the opportunity and it's over.
I love looking back on my own predictions, on what everybody thought. Because remember, cut Cam. He won 5 in a row. He ain't turned the ball over yet.
Yep.
You goofy as hell. He's in Washington right now, man. The fuck?
Man. I'm excited for this Cam Newton. Honestly, I this is random, but I don't know. I'm watching him and I'm rooting for the guy, man. Because
I love him.
Everybody's he's using this stuff as fuel, and it's gonna be interesting.
Yo, look, football's better when Cam is balling out. I'm sorry, it just is.
It's just
I don't understand the hate towards Cam. I get whatever.
I do.
I know. I get you're upset about the way he handles himself with the Super Bowl.
Oh, no. I'm not upset about that. Oh, I'm just saying that when you say that you don't understand the hate, I understand the hate. I know exactly why. I don't know if you want to talk about this.
I get it. But I'm just talking about people. I see people saying that they want to see him fail, and that's the part I guess is what I don't get. When I see people saying that, I'm like, what the hell do you want to see Cam fall flat on his face for?
Who showboats more, Cam Newton or Tom Brady?
Oh, wait, what? Say again?
Who showboats more, Cam Newton or Tom Brady?
Brady, low key.
Exactly. But everyone wants to hate on Cam because he's the
No,
one who showboats all the time.
listen, that's my thing. And also, like, all right, you may not like Floyd Mayweather, but if he's gonna pop shit and beat everybody that he faces, beat him, and then shut him up.
Exactly. That's it.
Anyway, but yes, I'm rooting for Cam for sure. Like I always want to see him play well. I feel like
Right.
the game is better when he's playing well, and if he
100%.
can rejuvenate the Patriots, that shit would be a story. Because Belichick is Belichick's main goal for the rest of his life is to win a championship without Tom Brady and without it doesn't matter what quarterback it is.
Right. It's
He
true.
wants to win one without Tom Brady, and he can show everybody.
Well, it's probably going to be what's his face from Clemson, dude who just
That's bullshit. All of a sudden, guys are opting out. Like Patrick Chung, I'm out. Hightower, I'm out. Like I'm waiting for Stephon Gilmore to be like, I'm out, bro. Like,
right. It's crazy, man. Like I don't understand like why everyone's opting out. If Brady was playing, no one would be opting out.
And the thing is like, you probably get better because you get a year off. You come back and you're like super fresh. And like they just punch everybody back, and the dynasty's back on. Like,
Just like that.
I'm nervous about that. Like I'm scared to death. Like that's why this 49ers window, that shit's gonna slam shut pretty quickly.
I'm a Jets fan, and like when this happens, this is not something good, man. I want them to have a losing season and just like keep losing. But
Right.
unfortunately, I feel like everyone's opting out. Everyone's getting fresh for 2021. And now they're gonna draft like a good quarterback, and then it's over. And now it's fucking Tom Brady all over again for fucking another 30 years.
Fucking 13 years, right? Exactly. Imagine how the Bills feel. Hey, we're good again.
No,
Nah.
it sucks. You know what sucks about the Bills? Like they're doing everything they can for Josh Allen. Like they're putting everything together: an offensive line, wide receivers who can separate and get open. The best route runners he has John Brown and Stephen Diggs. Cole Beasley, you know what I'm saying? He got two good running backs in the backfield. But then, like, Josh Allen, like, is he going to be able to, like, get it done with these guys? And I don't know. I can't believe this dude only threw for 3,000 yards last year playing every single game. Josh Allen.
Yeah, but he ran for a shit ton. That's why.
I know, but how are you a quarterback in this league and play all 16 games and only throw 3,000 yards?
Hey, I mean, it worked for them. It's clear that Sean McDermott, like, here's the thing, is that there's a lot of people out there, like, Josh Allen's great for fantasy, but there's a lot of people out there that low-key are like, yo, at any moment, the bottom could fall out of this shit really quickly.
No, but it's true, though, man. Like, 3,000 yards, man. Like, that's crazy to me. Like, 3,000 yards. Like, 20 touchdowns is fine, but, like, oh, my God. That's –
And look, and, like, to give you an example, like, the 49ers are on a run-heavy team. Jimmy almost threw for 4 bands.
Exactly. No, 100%. That's my point. You know what I'm saying? If you're a run-heavy offense, the quarterback throws for more than 3,000 yards.
He should. Well, that's another thing, too, is as much as we love John Brown from last year, I mean, he's like one of my fucking favorite players in the world. But we could run Josh Allen missing him a lot. Like,
100%.
So, and he returned good value last year.
He did, man. So Stephen Diggs might be able to do something too. But like, you look at Josh Allen was 23rd in the NFL in passing yards in 2019.
23rd.
Yeah.
Name some of the names right above him.
And nobody around him played 16 games. Lamar Jackson threw for 3,100 yards. Right?
Yeah, but that's.
Oh yeah, we know why, right? Yeah. Daniel Jones threw for 3,000 in 13 games.
How many games did Daniel
Sam
Jones play?
Darnold threw 3,000 in 13 games. Drew Brees 3,000 in 11 games. Ryan Tannehill 2,700 in 12 games. Kyle Allen threw more than Josh Allen. Wow. Gardner Minshew, Andy Dalton.
Wow.
Yeah, dude.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Andy Dalton didn't even have his job the whole year.
Exactly.
That's crazy. Insane.
Exactly.
So do you want to talk?
Anyway, like even Cam couldn't hit Curtis Samuel like that.
But that's what I was banking on last year. Is like everything that I was thinking about. Like once Cam went down, I was like, fuck. Like I was just like, well, there goes that. And everybody, who's the guy? I've been getting Curtis Samuel everywhere. I'm telling everybody, and then Cam's done for the year, and it's like, cool, dope. So you want to talk running backs? Do you want to talk?
Sure. So I actually started. So this is the first year where I am projecting out all the running backs, all the wide receivers.
Great.
And like what it does for me, it allows me to like kind of separate guys, into tiers and stuff like that, and actually see, based on opportunity, what is their real opportunity like, right? And Scott Barrett, you know, he used to work for Pro Football Focus, and now he moved to fantasypoints.com. Like him, John Hansen, a bunch of those, you know, Graham Barfield, they have their own thing now, which is awesome. Like good for
Legend.
those guys. And like basically what he came up with is this thing called weighted opportunity. And what that basically does is it kind of it goes through the past like 10, 15 years, and it determined that when running backs get targeted, that's just simply worth more than a single carry in terms of fantasy points, right? So they determined that overall, a target is worth almost 3 times as much as one single carry. So it's like when you look at a running back like Derrick Henry, who's getting 320 rushes per year, but he's getting only like 20 targets for the whole year.
Bump that
If
shit up
that,
at 40.
you know what I'm saying? Then you understand that like it might not be as good as Alvin Kamara, for example, in PPR leagues, and you know, or like Kenyon Drake, or my guy, Miles Sanders this year. I'm so into Miles Sanders this year.
I thought it was AJ Dillon.
Oh, AJ Dillon's definitely my guy, but he's going like the 12th round. How many?
All right, so Miles Sanders.
Do you like take a drink every time I say the words AJ Dillon? Like,
yo, every time. Well, listen, because you know what it is about it, Faraz. Like, I'm gonna let you get into Miles Sanders because I want to hear your case for it because you're not the only one, right? But when you talk badly about a guy that I love the player that Aaron Jones. I've been beating the Aaron Jones drum forever, right? Because I'm like I'm like Jamal Williams isn't that good of a football player. Like it's just baffling to me how you take the better player off the field. But now that I'm a little bit wiser and a little bit older, and you see things that are working, especially when I'm talking about the team that I like, the wave of the future is using multiple backs.
Right.
And LaFleur is off of an offshoot of Shanahan, and Shanahan never like really ran one guy. Like so it's like. So that's the thing. Like, I understand it now. But I loved Aaron Jones, and I would be baffled at how, like, Jamal Williams would be on the field. He's a better pass blocker. Man, get out of here.
Listen, if Aaron Jones was getting the opportunity, I would love Aaron Jones. He's a great player, man. Like, and he would kill it for fantasy. Like, when Jamal Williams got hurt, Aaron Jones was absolutely killing it, bro.
No, he was, but he can't do the 19 touchdowns again. That's never gonna happen.
No, and he if you give him a workhorse role, the chance that he gets hurt is probably higher than you know what I'm saying. Like I don't know if he can handle, because you know before last year he was getting hurt left and right.
Yeah.
You know, so but yeah, I mean, so yeah, back to Miles Sanders. Like I think
go for it.
He's in a situation where the Eagles didn't add anybody to that backfield. Boston Scott was that guy. If you look at the snap percentages that Miles Sanders played after Jordan Howard got hurt, like it was in the 80s, right? Yeah. Which is like elite territory. There's only a handful of backs, maybe like you would say, who was playing 80% of snaps or more? Christian McCaffrey, Saquon, Zeke.
Not Kamara.
Not Kamara. Kamara was playing like 70-ish.
Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry was not. He was playing around 65.
Then it's probably that's the end of the list. It's not Dalvin. It's not
Leonard Fournette was.
Fournette
was, but not anymore. He's not going to do that this year. Chris Thompson's there.
Chris Thompson's there, and he loves Gruden.
Exactly. So that's it. So, and so he has that upside. Now they didn't add any backs to that backfield. Doug Peterson. We assume that he loves workhorse. He loves the opposite of workhorse backs. He loves timeshares and all that kind of stuff. But they didn't add anybody, right? And then when you look at the weapons that they have, Alshon Jeffrey, he's on the pup. You know what I'm saying? Like Deshaun Jackson, he always gets hurt.
Yeah, and he's 33.
What's his face? Opted out. Marquise Goodwin opted out.
Jalen Reagor.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing now this year, right? Where you have Boston Scott. By the way, Boston Scott, when he was doing his damage, they were on the field at the same time, right? Even though Miles Sanders was playing 80% of the snaps, Boston Scott was on the field like 40 to 50% of snaps because he was like in the slot. They were playing two running back sets and that sort of thing. But Miles Sanders was still getting his opportunity, and when he did, he killed it. He got balls from all over the field.
Boston's got the beautiful 0 RB target at the end of the draft. Like he's basically Darren Sproles all over again. And
right, exactly. And that's who his comp was. And I know he played for the Saints too.
Yeah, he did.
So, and then I think they cut him or whatever the case may be. I think he got hurt or something.
He got hype over there. That's how I knew about him. Like, he got hype over there, and I always kept my eye on him.
I kept my eye on him because they didn't have that compliment back yet. right? And I was like, all right, well, maybe Boston Scott would be that guy. And I forgot who he was going to be a compliment to. Oh, you know what it was? When Alvin Kamara, I think Alvin Kamara was supposed to be a guy. Who was suspended or got hurt? Was it Mark Ingram? Was he
Ingram. Remember, Ingram had PEDs, so he was out the first
right? 6 games or something like that. 4 games. Right. So I was like, okay, who's going to be Kamara compliment? It turned out to be nobody. It turned out to be just.
If you drafted Kamara, good God.
Yeah, you killed it those first few weeks, but yeah, it's one of those situations where he can play 75% of snaps, and he could get 15 carries on the ground. He can get like 5 to 6 catches a game. And the thing with Sanders, he's catching balls all over the field. He's beating safeties. Right. He's beating linebackers up the seam, and he's catching balls all over the field. And I think he was third in the NFL in yards per reception out of all running backs. So he's going to get opportunity, and that's the key. Right? He has a decent offensive line, and he's going to be good. So I did the projections, right? And I'm looking at that weighted opportunity that I talked about when you combine the carries and the receptions, and I'm looking at about 250 rush attempts for him, and 80 targets.
Wow.
This year, 65 receptions.
Wow.
That's what it comes. Well, that's what I projected him at.
You're talking Dalvin Cook land now.
Yeah, and Dalvin Cook. I projected Dalvin Cook to have just 6 more catches than him this year. So when you look at the weighted opportunity, you know what I'm saying? I have McCaffrey first, Barkley second, followed by Alvin Kamara, followed by Zeke Elliott, followed by Dalvin Cook, and then Miles Sanders. So he's like.
So that's what I was going to ask you is
he's like my number 6 back. Now,
so he's 6. So where's the
6 back?
Where's the tier break between 1 and 2 for you?
So tier break. So I think Saquon and McCaffrey are in the same tier for me.
Top 2.
Their top 2 is in one tier, right? And then I think Ezekiel Elliott and Alvin Kamara are in the next tier. Well, actually, and if you're in a PPR league, dude, honestly, like.
Is Kamara over Zeke, I think, this year.
I think Kamara should be over Zeke.
Yeah.
But yo, he's going to a vegan diet, though, bro. I might have to.
But that's fine. Look, and I know people are freaking out about that. But when he told the story about how his knee got tore up and he played through that shit, like, and he still was able to get his normal 81 catches, I got to suspect that he's going to bounce back this year. Like,
100%, dude. Yeah, for sure. So him, then Zeke, and then Dalvin Cook, and then after Dalvin Cook, like a tier down, I'm going Miles Sanders after that.
Okay, so 6, and then then after him, is it like, because like the ECR right now has the tier 1. It's 4 guys. It's McCaffrey, it's Barkley, it's Kamara, it's Elliott. That you know what, but you can't like fault that. Like that's going to be pretty much how everybody has it.
I think that is the standard top 4.
Correct. Yeah. Right. Like the first 4 picks in your draft is in some order is going to be this. If somebody.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, and that's fine. It's just after that, it's like, where do you start considering wide receivers over running backs? And I just don't know at this point. Like this year, I'm not gonna lie. I hope none of my league mates are listening, but in redraft leagues, I'm gonna try to load up on running backs early because there's too many good wide receivers later on. Like if I can get Terry McLaurin in the 6th, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm all over that. On top of getting
in the 6th. 100%. I'll take him in the 5th too. It's fine.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. And then if I use my first 2 picks, especially if I'm in an advantageous spot, like if I'm able to get somebody like a fucking, Dalvin Cook and a fucking, let's just say Eckler.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, you're sitting pretty, and it's very possible because Eckler has been going around the middle of the 2nd round.
Right, that's what I mean.
So in a full PPR league, like I'm happy.
Yeah, and people are still scared about the Dalvin Cook injury stuff. Like I get it, it's there, but like with him, I don't know why it is. I do it with him. I always lock in Madison. But then I start playing the game like during the season of dropping him.
I know.
Picks him up and then like getting him back because I get scared the day before the game. Like,
yeah, dude, I'm the same way, man. I'm the same way. I ended up dropping those dudes and that's it. So yeah, for me, it's looking like Sanders, Edwards-Helaire, and then Kenyon Drake are kind of in a similar tier.
Not Joe Mixon.
What's that?
Not Joe Mixon.
See, man, the thing with Joe Mixon is like it's a similar thing we talked about with Josh Jacobs.
Right.
The thing with Josh Jacobs, we know he's going to get his 300 carries.
Right.
Right. And I don't think that's the case for Joe Mixon. Right. I think he's more slated around like 270, 265, 270, something like that. And then on top of that, he has his version of Jalen Richard in Gio Bernard, right?
James not going anywhere. They love him.
And that's the thing. Like, it's like, are we really going to take Joe Mixon off the field here, guys? Like, he is a 3-down bell cow. You know, he's super capable in that. So,
Sure.
but it sucks. It sucks that that's what his role is going to be. Towards the end of the season, they were giving him like 25 carries a game.
They had nobody.
They had nobody.
And remember, it was whoever the hell it was playing, Ryan Finley.
Exactly. So now they have Joe Burrow. They have AJ Green back.
That's what I'm saying. And the offense, I expect that offense to take a step up. Jonah Williams is back. Mm-hmm. You know, they beefed up the line a little bit. You know, like, and now you're talking about like AJ Green looks good. I don't want to get too crazy over that, but he looks good. In draft, I'm gonna take my shot. If last year I held AJ Green the whole year waiting for this magical comeback, I'm gonna try to I'm definitely going back for at least if he's gonna play one game, it's already better than last year.
Yep. And they drafted T. Higgins too.
That's what I was gonna say. So I mean, you know, John Ross had to go home, you know, because of what's happening with his family, and you know, like I hope all the best or whatever. But it's AJ, it's T. Higgins, it's Tyler Boyd that people are sleeping on as well too, and that's where the targets it gets a little like hazy for me of where it's going to be because
Tyler Boyd's ADP is kind of
and I've been trying to get him everywhere. Like if you guys want,
Tyler Boyd's going in the 8th round. Let me ask you this. So he's going. So I mean, this is a tough like the 7th to 8th round for a season.
That's what I'm saying. There's so much there. There's so much.
So Michael Gallup is going at 707. Right, Will Fuller's going at 709.
Yo,
Tyler Boyd is at 801. Deontay Johnson is at 803.
I love all those guys this year. And let me look in the camera. And anybody who knows me and has ever spoken, like I never wanted Will Fuller on my team.
Right.
Continuity. I just talked about it. What he does when he's on the field is incredible as far as points per game. If he can even put together 12 games, that already like puts you in the playoffs based off of those boom weeks.
Yep.
And again, continuity. Who knows him? Cooks is gonna have to come in and learn Watson. Randall Cobb is gonna have to come in and learn Watson. But whenever Will Fuller and Watson are on the field, it's boom potential. And I think this year is the year that I'm gonna try to bank on that, just because. Continuity. Again, those are the tiebreakers. I never draft Will Fuller. I never tell anybody because you know he's not going to make the whole year. But this year I'm in. Deontay Johnson, I'm in on him too. You just said Michael Gallup. Please explain to me the Michael Gallup hate. Like, I don't understand it. Like, I understand that, you know, all right, CeeDee's there. You know, we have Blake Jarwin who's going to absorb some of these targets. Michael Gallup doesn't need very many targets to return value for you, like at all. And especially
they already have like the second most vacated targets between.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Between Randall Cobb leaving and between Jason Witten leaving too, right? So he's gonna be fine, man. Like he out targeted like Amari Cooper in a bunch of games. Even overall, he out targeted him, and so he can outproduce Amari Cooper. I'm not gonna lie, like he's that good of a player.
Good. Thank you for saying it first, because I don't want to like jump off the cliff. So you said it first, but I'm gonna just go with you. And I think I was gonna say that like sometimes when I watch Amari play, like he's a beautiful, graceful route runner. I watch him put moves on amazing cornerbacks, and I'm just blown away. Sometimes I feel like he lacks that dog. Like when like he gets like, you know, when he gets too much like pressure and stuff like that, he can get wiped from games.
It's true, man.
Like Marcus Lattimore. Like for some reason plays down to his competition. So it'll be somebody who's like not inferior to him, but somebody that he should lock up that'll probably like get him for a big play or something like that. And you'll be like, what? But when he gets on the stage and he sees Amari Cooper or if he sees Julio, like all of a sudden he elevates his game. He wiped Cooper from that game. Michael Gallup, I feel like won't be wiped by anybody. Now let's say that those guys switch. Like let's say Lattimore was I feel like Michael Gallup wouldn't get wiped away like that. Like
he wouldn't.
That player.
He reminds me of John Brown. Right? Like John Brown, he got shadow coverage by a bunch of dudes last year, and he was fine.
He baked Stephon Gilmore.
He did.
Again, I'm gonna cape for my players, and he's always been one of my guys. But I got it on film.
Yeah, and Josh Allen missed a couple of those throws too, where he got open, he got separation, where he was ready for the ball, and the ball just kind of sailed on him. So
Week 15, Week 15 last year, he went up against the Pittsburgh secondary. That's after Minka. And he still balled. Like those are guys that know how to get open, and that's how I feel Michael Gallup is. And the contested catch thing, I feel like he's gonna go run for it more. Like Amari can do the toe tap thing, and I get it, like why people would draft him. It's just that again, I've seen him be wiped from games. It's not just Lattimore. Like Trey White wiped him too, like kind of in Thanksgiving.
If I feel like if Gallup didn't tear his meniscus, he would have had a much bigger year.
For sure. And he had a huge year, actually. Like
second year, and he's underrated year. Like no one's talking about it. But his in 2 games, he had almost 300 receiving yards the first 2 games. You know what I'm saying? And yes, Amari Cooper didn't play in the preseason, but still, like he killed it. And then he tore his meniscus in the next game. So, it's interesting. For me, I look at the talent. I look at the creativity of that offense. I look at the fact that he's not going to be seeing those number 1 corners. For some reason, those corners still want to go up against Amari, and that's fine with me.
It's because
I'd rather take Gallup later.
It's because people rate him that way, so I'm sure that those corners have like a chip on their shoulder, and they want to go over there and like.
Yeah, but it's interesting because Amari Cooper plays the flank, and Gallup plays the X.
That's what I mean. I feel like he can do more. Like I'm not trying to like say like, all right, so route running, I'm gonna give the benefit of the doubt to Amari. Like that's easy.
Listen, man, if Amari was in the slot, he'd
kill whoever would come in there. Like he would kill whoever would come in there. That's not even fair.
Yeah, it wouldn't be fair. But I feel like that's kind of where he should be playing more. To be honest with you, like that'll be interesting. Like if he plays more in the slot and Lamb goes outside.
You're paying him as a outside guy.
We haven't heard anything about it though. But I would assume that CeeDee Lamb is going to play the slot. But we don't know. We have no idea.
Look, real football. Oh my goodness! Like I'm floored at how he like fell to them.
I know, man. They're so lucky, man. They're so lucky. I was so surprised. I was like, dude, Michael Gallup and Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb? Shit.
What?
That's amazing.
What the hell's happening? Like, even by accident, this team is improving.
That's so true, man. And they just signed, what's his name?
Oh my God, Everson Griffin.
Yep.
They signed Gerald McCoy. You forgot Tanks there. Aldon Smith's there. Like, if Aldon Smith gives them anything, like they're I hate Dallas, but yeah, man, like, sorry, Dallas fans. I'm gonna
exactly.
But so let's at least, because we divvied off to wide receivers.
This is what happens.
But this group, right? We said Gallup, Boyd, Deontay Johnson, and who was the 4th that's all in this group?
Fuller.
Rank them for me, and I'm
gonna go. Well, Gallup is number 1 for me.
Okay.
Will Fuller's number 2. Deontay Johnson is number 3, and Tyler Boyd's number 4. Now, if you're looking for like stability, I would say that Tyler Boyd might be number 1 or number 2 to Gallup.
Yes.
And then Will Fuller's last in that category, and Deontay Johnson's 3rd. But I think Deontay Johnson and I think Tyler Boyd has the least upside out of all of them. Right? If you're going for like, and this is why rankings are so difficult, right? Like you it depends what you want. If you're going for the upside and you're trying to win your league with that pick, you go Will Fuller. I think Michael Gallup is like a mix of both. He'll give you these boom weeks, and then Deontay Johnson has upside too with Big Ben back. So I was happy to see Ben throw, by the way. So that was good to see. So he's kind of back and from his surgery and all that. But Deontay Johnson has a ton of upside as well. So yeah, like that's kind of how I see it. It depends what you need, how your draft was up until that point. And that's kind of how I see it.
So here's my case for Tyler Boyd.
Yeah,
like, we got to disagree, right? Like I didn't want to disagree with the first part because I think you have right. But if you're talking about stability, here's why I think that people are sleeping on Tyler Boyd, and it doesn't. The whole argument that everybody used to make about Tyler Boyd is something that I used to subscribe to, and I think is really, really true. Yes, when he's alone, he sees more targets. But when AJ Green's on the field and you have other guys, he's going to see highly efficient targets.
Yeah.
So if that target number drops from 12 to 6 or 8, if he can convert out of the 8, 6 or 7 of those in that offense, with that bad defense and them being behind, Tyler Boyd is going to return some serious. So that's for me. It's not big upside, but it keeps, again, he's a safe one. He
provides the stability.
Right. You nailed it. Like if I want to play him, in a flex week, or if we're only starting 2 receivers and I have him as my 3rd receiver, I'm with that all day. It all depends on how your draft flow goes.
Exactly. Like as an example, right? You drafted only 2 wide receivers right? And you reach the 8th round or the seventh, the end of the 7th round, and like you're like, oh shit, I need a third wide receiver because I start 3 wide receivers, right? And you're probably taking Tyler Boyd at this spot because you're in a PPR league, I'm assuming, like you want that stability there. And I think he's the guy who's probably going to be targeted at a more consistent rate out of all these guys. I think him and Michael Gallup might be the 2 guys who get targeted at the most consistent rate.
For sure.
So that's kind of how I look at it. Now, if I drafted my 3 wide receivers already, I'm looking for my flex. I'm looking at Will Fuller here, most likely, or Michael Gallup. Just
play him in the flex almost every week. Like you're not gonna get all those boom weeks, and you kind of just have to be. It's he's like Tyreek Hill. Like we take Tyreek Hill because those boom weeks win you the week.
Yes.
But we know that there's valleys and peaks when it comes with him. It's the same thing with Will Fuller. Like if you're playing him, you're purely hoping that he goes off for 45 fucking points.
Right. Exactly. But yeah, man, so let me ask you a question. So
Yeah.
I have Miles Sanders ranked super high, according to compared to the consensus. Like normally he's going like in the beginning of the 2nd round ish, right?
Mm.
So are you grabbing, like if you're at the turn, are you trying to grab, assuming that most of those guys are off the board that we mentioned, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, probably off the board, right at the end of the 1st round.
If I'm at 12, yeah.
If you're at like the 11th or 12th pick, who are the 2 guys that you've been kind of aiming for?
I always try to take best running back off the board. Like
Right.
Mixon's the one that I want the least, probably. But like at that point, like at the end, it's probably got to be, now you're like talking me into it, honestly, with the Miles Sanders thing. He's probably not going to be there, but it's probably Drake or Eckler, depending if one of them are there. Like it's just, the thing is it's what's crazy about Drake is I've been getting him a lot just because I like it, but he has a lot of risk baked into his ADP even still. Like here's the thing, like if he slips up even a little bit, Chase Edmonds has shown he can like run the show,
Right.
I think a lot of Kenyon Drake as a player, and I'm banking on that, and I'm banking off what I saw last year, and I'm banking off a team, again, continuity. He gets another year in the system. I'm banking on all that. But there is no guarantee that Kenyon Drake can play himself right out if he starts to, lose traction, lose a fumble here and there, things like that. But if he's in there, I expect a lot out of that offense. So, like, with that one, I've been trying to just, like, mitigate the risk, but I've been usually just taking him there for sure. And then if I come back around and, like, Chris Godwin's there, I'm going with him, like, right away. Because there's something about Chris Godwin that keeps me safe with all that upside. He's in the slot. I know for a fact that he's going to get the ball. Like, the guy that I worry about between him and Evans is Evans, and the only reason is this. I know everybody's going to say, yes, Tom Brady's an upgrade. And yes, he's an upgrade over Jameis Winston. But the one thing that for fantasy purposes Jameis Winston did was fucking toss that rock as far as he fucking could. I'm not certain that Tom Brady can do all. Like the interceptions don't kill you with Jameis or whatever if he's throwing it to your guy. Like you just want him to throw it to your guy deep.
The fact that he threw so many interceptions was good for his wide receivers because he would have to he had no choice but in the 4th quarter to sling it on every play. He had to throw the ball 20 times in the 4th quarter, so that helps your guys out.
So now you're talking about Tom Brady, who's not going to make that crazy decision this whole time, and even if he wants to chuck it deep, it's probably not going to have as much on it as Jameis Winston.
I think Jameis Winston probably had the most attempts last year. Tom Brady's probably going to be in the middle of the pack, most likely.
That's the point too. So the thing that keeps me safe with Godwin is look, Evans is going to get his games. Like there's going to be those games where Evans scores 2-3 touchdowns and he goes up and he throws them shits up there, contested catches. That's fine. I think that Godwin is the perfect, at that point right there, is the perfect balance of floor and upside every week that I kind of want from my wide receiver one. I want to be able to wide receiver one and not worry.
I hate to burst your bubble, and I hate
go for it.
I hate for me to talk to you about this super late at night. Well, it's just going to keep you up all night now. But the Bucs might go to a lot at 12 personnel, and we might not see Chris Godwin in the slot as much as we did last season. That's my only concern with taking him that early, right? I think Chris Godwin is one of those guys that I've been touting him for a while since he's got into the league. But there is a world where we see Gronk and O.J. Howard on the field a lot, right? And Chris Godwin, who's capable of playing on the outside, don't get me wrong, and Evans on the field. Because if you take Gronk off the field or O.J. Howard off the field, that means that you're putting Godwin in the slot, obviously, right? 11 personnel. You're putting Evans on the outside. And then what wide receiver are you bringing in to take Gronk or Howard off the field, right? Scotty Miller?
Scotty Miller.
You know what I mean? Are you doing that? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So like before, it was it was a different type of thing, right? They didn't have that second tight end, right? They didn't have Gronk to that they were like, all right, well, we should keep our tight ends on the field. And then you had Bruce Arians come out and say like, yeah, 12 personnel is going to be our base offense next year. So for me, and I look at how much production Godwin had out of the slot last year, it was like 60% of his production came out of the slot. And obviously that produces gaudy numbers. So I'm like, all right, if we're paying a price for Godwin that is a reflection off of his 2019 season, where he played most of his snaps in the slot, got most of his production out of the slot, are we overpaying for him just a little bit? And I'm thinking like, all right, maybe. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm avoiding him personally at where he's going. Because right now he's going at the 209 or even earlier sometimes at the 205 maybe. So like at that spot, because he's being drafted at the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wide receiver off the board. And I'm like, are we leaving any room for upside there? Like I'm not sure that we are. That's my only concern with Godwin. Even though I know he's a great player, he just hasn't played that outside role permanently, even though we know he's capable, even though we know he's a good route runner and that he wins against corners on the outside. It's just that I wish that he could play in the slot for Tom Brady. So we know that, obviously you made the Edelman comp, right? And like, you realize that Brady loves targeting the slot because of his numerous slot guys he had over his career. And then you have Godwin who murdered in the slot last year. And then you can put that together and you're like, this is a perfect sample. You know what I'm saying? And then you're like, all right, cool. I'm taking Godwin every single time. You know what I mean?
So I heard that, and yeah, that's a concern. But I think that what I'm gonna do with Godwin, it still doesn't move me off him in any way. Like you're definitely not shattering my world, right? Like
good. I'm glad.
Yeah, no, because if you would have heard me, I'd just turn this shit off and just been like, if you're gonna tell me that Curtis Samuel's like not gonna like be good, whatever.
It's not. Curtis Samuel's not worth the 14th round pick, right?
yeah, right. Every time, but what doesn't really worry me, and I think that what I'm gonna bank on is even if that happens, let's say that happens, and I agree with you actually. Now that when you really think about it, I think the point that you made that kind of blew my mind is who is this third receiver that they would bring in, and I'm in my head I'm just like that doesn't make any sense. Right. Unless they want to run Gronk out of there, I'm not certain that they would do that. It's just like the only thing is that Bruce Arians has he run like 12 a lot? Like is that or so this is a Brady thing. Like Brady's coming in to like change things up. That's what I think.
Why did they get Gronk?
Right.
Did they need Gronk? No, they didn't need Gronk.
They weren't excited. No.
And like right after they got Gronk, they're like, yeah, we're switching to 12 personnel. It's like, all right.
So what I'm gonna bet on though with Godwin is that I know that Godwin can win on the outside. And I still feel like he's going to be safe because I think Brady is going to see, like, look, this is no slight at Mike Evans. And I want you to know that Mike Evans is on the cusp of doing something in this league that nobody's ever done. As long as he does it like one more year, which I'm certain he does, even when he misses games, is all he has to do is get 1,000 yards again. And what is it, the 7th straight year? And that's the record. Yeah. He's Howard Randy Moss. Jerry Rice never did that.
Right.
So I'm not slighting Mike Evans when I say this, but I think that Chris Godwin is a better route runner and somebody, and he can win in the intermediate areas that I think that Brady wants to live in. Now,
who's better in against man, right?
It would be
there's
you want to throw the ball. If you want to throw the ball up,
if
you want to throw the ball up, you already know where you're going with it. Mike Evans is a contested catch guy all day, and he's going to win most of those times.
Yes.
But if you're trying to win on a route and you need timing, I feel like it would be Godwin. Mike Evans runs long, like he looks like a gazelle when he runs. Like he doesn't look like shifty and quick like when he moves, and Godwin is like a little bit of both. And I think that, like there's just something about those Penn State receivers, bro. It's him, Allen Robinson. They win in different ways. Like, and I think that he can do that.
You know who I really like a lot? Tyler Johnson. He's the wide receiver that the Bucs drafted late, and I'm super surprised that he went that late. I think he played for like some random school, like Minnesota or some shit. I don't even know, but dude, that dude like is a guy that people are sleeping on in Dynasty, man. Like he in rookie drafts, like he's going super late. He's a guy that I like. If they end up going back to 11 personnel, right? And if I were them, I would keep Godwin on the outside, keep Evans on the outside, and put Tyler Johnson in the slot where he's been playing in college, And like that offense is going to be dynamic as hell, dude. Like that's what I want to see. That's
Yeah.
where I think they can make their money for sure.
I want a piece of this offense too. Like even like getting like Brady a little bit late, like I'm fine with that. Like, and that's
Yeah,
crazy.
because he has the weapons. He has the weapons. Like, you know, when you got the weapons, the quarterback is going to be fine, right? Like, we like all these Carolina Panthers. That means Teddy B is going to be fine.
Teddy B is going to be good. Thank you. So that's my argument for almost everything, right? Like that's what I'm telling people about Joe Burrow and why I'm trying to get him late. If
Right.
I'm telling you that I like AJ Green, if I'm telling you I like Tyler Boyd, if I'm telling you I like T Higgins, how are they going to get sustained? Someone has to be throwing the ball, and I think that Joe Burrow is going to be like one of those, like a Daniel Jones type at the end of the draft,
Right.
that we can do the late round quarterback thing with and be fine with him.
Right, except he's talented. Right.
Yeah,
I get it.
Damn, really?
Ooh,
So,
I'm
all right. So,
sorry.
look. Hey, I just, again, for fantasy, like we literally just talked about Josh Allen, maybe the bottom falling out of like for him. So, like again, that's not off the board. I don't know about Daniel Jones. I just don't know. I got to see more. I got to see more.
I got to see more too. That's the thing with him. It's similar to what actually similar to Josh Allen, honestly.
Exactly.
Like, when especially after his rookie year, we're like, oh, okay, he can run the ball a little bit. Oh, okay, he can throw it a little bit. But I think Daniel Jones is one of those guys. Like he you know what he reminds me of a little bit? Eli Manning. The way the way that he throws the ball, like he doesn't seem like he's gonna make that big play, and then all of a sudden he tosses it to Darius Slayton and they got a big touchdown. You know what I mean? Like he does a lot of like dinky dunk shit, and like his accuracy like is surprisingly good for a rookie, so that's promising. But I'm just interested to see like if he could continue it. He made like some weird mistakes last year, but he was a rookie, so I'm interested to see how he's going to do. I mean, his weapons aren't amazing, but he has solid guys, and I'm interested to see if they can text like especially Darius Slayton. He was a little bit of a one-trick pony last year, but he was a rookie, so I'm interested to see like if he can take a step forward too.
The only thing that
I got to see more.
The only thing that kind of scares me about Slayton, because I'm all in on him on Dynasty, because it's eventually going to be his job. Like, but the thing is, he did a lot of that stuff when everybody was out.
Oh, 100%. And that's why I'm out on him on redraft.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not drafting him. I'm drafting Sterling Shepard.
Thank you. Again, all right. So look, this wouldn't be a podcast if we didn't like agree with each other. So like Sterling Shepard, right? Sterling Shepard in Dynasty, in redrafts, like people are drafting, like I've seen Golden Tate go ahead of him. I've seen
I'm sure, dude, and he's probably so undervalued in Dynasty.
And it's like, I don't understand. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm getting my hands on Sterling Shepard as my, like, fifth receiver, and I'm just, like, blown away because it's like, dude, when he's on the field, we get it. It's all injury concerns, right? That's fine. But when he's on the field, he leads them in targets. Like, It's not even, like...
And his target share is consistent every single week.
Right.
Like, if you look at his targets, it was, like, 7, 8, 8, 8, 8, 9, 9, 8, 8, 8, 9. And so it was just, like, he's the guy. When he's on the field, he's the guy. Him and Golden Tate are going to have more targets. Evan Ingram is going to have more targets.
I love Ingram this year.
Saquon Barkley is going to have more targets. So, like, where's Darius Slayton fit in? Is he going to be the fifth guy? Like, come on. Like, it's just I'm not going to draft that guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just not going to happen. But I agree with you. I'm in on Evan Ingram and his price.
Yes, for sure, because he's getting stepped on even in Dynasty too. I'm snatching him up later on, even in tight end premium leagues. Like, people are just afraid, and I'm just like, I don't understand. Like the thing is, he's a guy that I'm handcuffing too. I handcuff him with Caden Smith. And then I still try to get, you still get other tight ends in the Dynasty startup. So basically, what I've been trying to pair him with is like I do Evan Ingram, and then like later on I'll be able to get like a Blake Jarwin or a Jack Doyle. And I'm pairing him, and then I'm getting Caden Smith. I'm kind of like closing off the entire, like I have someone to start every week, it looks like, at least. Like that's what I'm looking for. But Evan Ingram is going to be a guy that, where's his next contract going to be? Is it going to be with the Giants? So that's kind of why I'm holding on to him too, because people are still going to be attracted to tight ends. He just gets hurt. That's it. And he's so undervalued.
And he's undervalued. Like if he can stay healthy, he's a beast, man. He's a beast. So like I'm in on him, and he's going in the 7th round. So he belongs in that conversation with the elite tight ends if he can stay healthy.
Right, exactly. Like I'm looking up his ECR right now. Like I wouldn't rather have Christian Kirk than Sterling Shepard. Not right now. Like if something changes, like Jamison Crowder is like ranked higher. Like I'm not certain I want that. Jamison Crowder is going to be a PPR hog, right? Like he's just gonna take all of those targets, but I have to feel like there's going to be targets. Like, I feel like if Adam Gase doesn't wake the fuck up this year and give Le'Veon Bell the ball more in creative ways, then like he will solidify his place. I'm sorry, in my mind, is the worst coach in football. Like, I'm sorry.
Right. He is the worst coach in football, though.
No, he's really bad, man. Like, and I'm not trying to pile on or anything like that. It's just like, look,
oh, it's
like,
fine. Trust me, I'm the worst Gase hater in the world, to be honest with you. Okay. I'm still not off of Le'Veon Bell, though. That has to tell you a lot. But at the same time, like, it could be better.
Right. Like, you just have to find creative ways to get him the ball, you know? And then now you're talking about, like, you know, featuring Chris Herndon, like, and then, like, and the line's going to be better. Like, Bell's going to be fine, like, honestly. Like, and, you know, Denzel – well, the problem with Jamison Crowder is like, now Bell's going to get more targets. If they want to feature Chris Herndon, he's going to live in the same places kind of that Jamison Crowder does, right?
Exactly.
Denzel Mims is there, right? Like, you know, like, there's a lot more there. Like, even Brashard Perryman. You didn't just sign Brashard Perryman and not give him targets either.
100%. He just replaced Robbie Anderson. Right.
That's what I'm saying. So the Jamison Crowder thing of, like, you thinking that he's going to get 17 targets like he did in week 1, like, that's probably not going to happen. Like, not this year.
That was another weird thing that happened in that game that I was at. I was like, what's going on?
He got all the targets.
Fucking weird game. I wish I just stayed home and watched Red Zone. It's for real, yeah. Like, it's so funny how these games are terrible. At least you're a 49ers fan. You get to go and see some exciting shit.
Well, for now, I'm whatever. I got to see some bullshit or whatever. But, all right, look. Let's have a debate. Let's close this up, right? We're at an hour 30. Let's do a wide receiver debate. Okay, I got one. Give me your side of the Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp discussion about who can land where. Because I know who's getting drafted higher, but I know who everybody is saying is going to be the guy who wins. But I just wanted to get your thoughts on that because that's something that I saw was discussed on Twitter a lot.
You want me to go first?
Yeah.
All right, it's Robert Woods.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, for me, if the Rams go more 12 personnel, and it's a similar thing with Chris Godwin. Now, the difference between Chris Godwin and Cooper Kupp is that Chris Godwin can play on the outside, and Cooper Kupp cannot. Right. Like, he can't play on the outside. Like, whenever he goes on the outside, like, he gets shut down.
I'm scared about him and Thielen for that reason.
Thielen can do it. Thielen did it last year.
A little. I'm like now. Justin Jefferson really has to take a step though because that wide receiver depth. That's why I'm in on Justin Jefferson too.
Right. Because who else is there behind Thielen? Nobody. And that's why I think Thielen is just going to get a shit ton of targets. And
that's true.
But I still don't like Thielen's price though. It's a little too high for me. Mm-hmm. There are other guys that I like there, but anyway. But yeah, I think it's Robert Woods, man. Like, so when Brandon Cooks got hurt last year, they went mainly towards 12 personnel. Gerald Everett was hurt, and that's when what's his face was just absolutely killing it. Higbee was just absolutely killing it, right? But Robert Woods was killing it too. Like, he was averaging like 95 yards a game after Cooks got hurt. You know, in those like 7 games or whatever it is, he was killing it. And he plays on the outside. He's the number one. He gets the number one coverage, and sometimes Cooks does too. But Cooks wasn't playing. Cooper Kupp was playing a little bit in the slot, and when they had to move him outside, when they were going to 12 personnel, what's the other wide receiver's name that they have? The third wide receiver? Josh Reynolds was rotating in with Cooper Kupp on the outside. Right. So Cooper Kupp was coming off the field, and Josh Reynolds was playing on the outside. So Cooper Kupp was playing a little bit on the outside, and when he wasn't doing shit. Right. So that's my issue with him. If they move a little bit towards 12 personnel, Gerald Everett's going to be healthy. Right, so those two guys are likely going to be on the field a lot. And what that's going to happen, what that's going to cause is then less 11 personnel, less 3 wide receivers, and less chance of Cooper Kupp to be in the slot, and that's where he thrives. He's in a unique situation in this offense where he sees so many linebackers and safeties and non-cornerbacks where he's able to produce. And Sean McVay does a brilliant job in putting him in those situations. And I think he is really a system type of wide receiver. And I think if you put him in any slot on any team, it might not work as well as it does on the Rams. But I think they just do it so well, especially because of all the bunch formations that they do. But I think just Woods is that guy. Like, he's capable on the outside. He gets it done. He had a really good sample size without Cooks last year. He was getting targeted. He was averaging almost 10 targets per game during that span. So, you know, he's just my guy. And Cooper Kupp, he was just really inconsistent during that time.
Right.
You know, and he was coming off the ACL, but at the same time, you know, he had his games. And in those games, like he killed it, but in those games he was playing in the slot. And sure, Jared Goff does look his way in the end zone, in the red zone stuff, but I don't want to depend on that. I want to depend on the real targets personally.
Right. So there's a discussion out there too. It's like somebody put this out there, and I thought it was a really good point. So it's not my point, guys. Like I can't remember who made it, but people were asking, like, when the personnel change came, like, was it based on who they were facing those weeks, because they were really weak at guarding the tight end as well too. So like, was it McVay switching up the game plan, knowing that he has to win games, like, and doing that way, or was it a complete philosophical change, right? But I think that I agree with you 100% with the Robert Woods thing. Like, even let's say if it changes up and it comes back, because Everett is back, and he's not going anywhere. I feel like people forget that, and this is what's getting me off of Higbee a little bit. Is I don't think that they're going to be completely sold right to that. The problem is like you said, I don't know that Kupp's going to be able to live out there. I know that Woods can, and he feels like again, like I hate using the same one. It's like I'm going to use it twice in the same episode, but like the same balance of like floor and upside. I feel like I like,
right.
week to week from him,
exactly.
And I feel like this offense is going to be a little bit better than it was last year, because for fantasy, it was a little bit of a fucking dumpster fire. And when you watch them, they really just look bad at points. But I think this year they're gonna be a little bit better. They have to be. They have to be.
So the point that you brought up was a great point, though, about whether they went completely 12 personnel, whether it was a philosophy change or whether it was against the opponent. And I think it was based on the opponent that they were going up against. But the thing is that before that, they were strictly 11 personnel. They're like 99%, 95% 11 personnel. Yeah. And they went about 60% 11 personnel last season towards the end of the year. So the thing is, like, Kupp is going to get his opportunities in the slot. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that he's going to move to the outside permanently. He's going to get his opportunities, and he's going to have his games. But the fact that they are able to just switch into 12 personnel sometimes 100% of the time in certain games, that's going to scare me off a little bit, because that doesn't happen. Sean McVay is going to go from 11 personnel, 95% 11 personnel this week, and next week he's going to go to like 75% 12 personnel. Like, what? Who does that?
That's volatile. And that's the thing, though. Like, so if it switches, if any time that it's going to switch week to week, Woods can handle whatever role. If it switches week to week for Kupp, I'm not certain that I would.
Bingo. That's exactly why, right? And with Gerald Everett back too, things are going to change there as well. Those targets are going to be split between potentially Everett and Higbee, right? Higbee wasn't doing shit before Gerald Everett got hurt. I'm not saying he's not capable. He obviously is. By the way, he was also going up against the worst defenses against tight ends, besides the 49ers, even though they kind of fell off a little bit against the tight end towards the end of the year. But I was surprised when he did what he did against the 49ers.
They were killing us with bootlegs that whole game.
Why was that?
So they were just killing us with bootlegs. Like that was the game that they were like, D Ford wasn't playing, and they kept hitting us like with the same bootleg. Like once we finally made the adjustment, like around the second quarter, and then when Goff threw that pick six at the half, that was it. Like we kind of took that away, and they had to go back to traditional shit. But when they were hitting us with the bootleg, they were running the same action as Shanahan runs, where they flood everybody one way, and the one guy sneaks out, and when by the time it's like a pitch and catch for Goff, and they were ripping that. And it wasn't just Higbee in that game. Like Kupp scored a touchdown in that game, but Robert Woods was crushing. That was like when Robert Woods started like going up like towards the end of the year. Like I remember that game clearly.
You must have been going up against Sherman a lot of that game.
So a little bit, but the thing is that, again, when we were running the cover three, like Sherman, like backs off, and like where Woods was living in a place where we were giving it up like up front so we could just come tackle. But they were getting chunk gains with Higbee, and that shit was getting me mad.
Mm-hmm. Right, exactly. So that's kind of where I stand on that. So it's going to be an interesting situation. I think Cooper Kupp is being overdrafted a little bit. The thing is, like, his upside is amazing. If I know that he's going to be a strictly slot player, like I would be more in on Kupp than I am on Woods, because I think he presents more upside, especially because Jared Goff favors him in the red zone.
Right.
But if you look at their ADPs, Kupp is 404. Oh, it's a lot closer now. Cup is 404. Robert
People
Woods
are
is
getting hit, I
407.
think, too. Yeah. Like sometimes I say, you know what I was getting like early in like these dynasty startups, like when I would go like, I go running back heavy, like, if I was getting me like, I would get me like a Chubb and I would get me like an Eckler or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, I'm good. I was waiting for like Allen Robinson and then Robert
Right.
Woods. See,
Right.
that's why like when you ask me like why is it all like these win now teams?
Mm-hmm.
Because the guys grab the rookies, like they're just going crazy with them in the beginning.
It's true, man. It's true. So you might as well get that early championship.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like, and the other thing is when I don't trade up or anything like that and don't move, like I have all my picks for next year, so I
Right.
can also reload. Like I like at the end, I won one league or whatever, and I got the 11th pick or whatever. I ended up with CD. And I was like, yeah, I was like, I'm fine, like it the super flex leagues though, like all those guys go. Like Joe Burrow was 1-1, and then
Right.
and then it changes.
Right.
But like to get CD at 12 after I competed and won the championship, that's a pretty good reload, and then that puts other people on the block. See, this is what I like about Dynasty. Dynasty is the all year like shit, like that whole GM shit, like that shit is dope. Like I want to get into one of those leagues where it's the 32 teams. You take one of them on, and you have their whole roster.
Right.
They really run that shit. That shit'll be dope. That's time consuming though. Like I don't know. I gotta like be able to like.
Yeah, man, because it's a lot. You got to learn a lot. You got to know everything. You got to know every position. You got to know all the depth. You got to know all of that. So,
I would have to just take the Niners. That's it. Anybody else, I'd be like, after a while, I'd be like,
You probably do well though, because you probably know everybody on the Niners.
Yeah, that's the only thing that they'd have to let me get that team, but I'm sure they would get drafted early, right? I better have a high pick. Hey, Faraz, almost like 2 hours, man. It's great to be on with you again, man. I had a blast. Tell them where to follow you on all the platforms.
Yeah, man, this was fun. Upper Hand Fantasy on Instagram. And that's it. Just hit me up, DM me, and that's it. Let's start a conversation. If you have any draft questions or anything like that, or you just want to talk fantasy or whatever, just hit me up. I'm available.
And you could text them. I think the number is 281-330.
No, I'm gonna. No, I'm dead ass gonna give my phone number out right now.
Go for it.
718-306-6701.
That's it.
That's a Queens number if you're wondering. But yeah.
Queensbridge. Queensboro.
That's it, guys. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me, though.
No, hey, you already know what it is, bro. You already know what it is. Yeah, I'm just happy to be back. So, guys, I'm gonna be trying, the best I can. Probably just gonna start doing this. I've been in the house, so like I got nothing but time. I think I'm just gonna get back into just doing this. So I wanted to get my feet wet. Feels good. I'm gonna start working on the format. We're gonna get right back into it, and we're gonna get you guys those championships that you want. So
that's it.
For Faraz and Jay, we out of here, man.
Take it easy, guys.